Morning everyone, hope you guys are all having a fantastic morning or evening wherever you're tuning in from. And this is day 2 mental health topic. This is following a poll that I put out about a week or so ago, and mental health issues got the main tick that everyone wanted to hear videos about. And because mental health is such a vast topic to cover, I've found that when I speak to a lot of people about mental health and mental illness and certain conditions, that the conversation always leads in one direction, or I lead it in one direction, and that's towards solutions. And after getting through the superficial sort of story of why a person is experiencing a certain thing, or an event or an emotion or whatever it may be, or an addiction. That's all the superficial sort of story. And then I start to lead the conversation in a way to talk about obviously solutions, so that person can walk away actually with some tools. And those tools or solutions, over a number of years, I've nailed them down to around 8 key things. Now, that's why I've said day 1 of 8, and today is day 2 of 8. So over a number of days, it's not going to be consecutive days just because of my calendar and fitting in these time slots, but you're going to get all 8 sort of things. So that first one was gratitude, and I won't go into that now because that was that first video. So if you haven't seen that, it was mental health day 1 of 8. And so today, day 2, is understanding the importance of morning and evening times, and in particular, morning and evening routines. So we've all got a routine that we jump into in the morning and at night. Whether or not you're consciously aware of it, there's certain habits that you fall into at those times and throughout, obviously, our entire day. Steve, hope you're doing really well. But the morning and evening times are so crucial regarding what's going on in here. And this is because we're in a different sort of suggestible state neurologically in here. So the brain is actually slowing down in the evening time and speeding up at the morning sort of time. And in those times, we're moving through different brainwave patterns. You guys have heard me talk extensively on this, so I won't go into the brainwaves specifically, but just understanding that we're more susceptible to information in the morning and at nighttime, or going to bed. If you're on night shift, obviously things play around, but for the general sort of sense of the conversation, let's say we wake up in the morning and go to bed at night. And for these times, whatever is going on around us in our external environment is going straight through our analytical sort of reasoning, questioning, doubting, thinking sort of mind, which is our conscious and analytical mind. If you guys can picture that, I won't draw it on the whiteboard because I've got no room, but that picture of the mind that I keep on showing in this group, that circle, and we break that circle up into different sections. We've got the conscious mind, the analytical, and then that subconscious being 95% of what makes us do the things we do, think the way we think, feel the way we feel. And that line between that conscious and analytical and subconscious, that line, that analytical sort of mind starts to drift open, if we will, and we're more susceptible to put information into the subconscious. So being aware of what we're feeding ourselves at nighttime, especially because we're going to go to sleep for 6 to 8 hours, or maybe a little bit more, whatever. And whatever we're feeding our subconscious at those sort of times, we're going to be subconsciously thinking about that for the remainder of those 8 hours or whatever it may be. And then we wake up, and what's the first thing we're thinking of? We're thinking of all these things that were going through our mind at night. So I was speaking with someone from the You're Right Mate page. Someone messaged a couple of weeks ago now, and we were talking about this specific topic because I said, like I mentioned at the start, I listen to the story and then I always go to these key 8 things. And when we got to nighttime and morning routines, and he said, I fall asleep pretty much like this, like, looking at my phone, and I'm like, well, what are you looking at? Like, are you reading stuff? Like, what are you doing? And he said, I just, everything that's going on in the world, obviously Corona related. And I said, well, is it affecting you directly outside of the obvious being lockdowns and all that? Like, if you got friends or family that are dealing with some, the situation directly, are they in hospital? Are they, is there something that you need to know before you go to bed? Like, is it 100% urgent that you need to know that? And he said, no, I'm just, I'm sticking up with everything. I said, well, then stop it. Like, you can look at it throughout the day, but at nighttime, you are feeding your subconscious mind. It's bypassing that analytical mind, and you're just feeding that into your emotional mind, and that controls your emotional state. And this guy was dealing with some anxiety issues, and I said, you're just feeding yourself more reasons to be anxious throughout your next day. And then the conversation went on, and we talked about a few different things. But anyway, I checked in I think it was 3 or 4 days later, and he said, mate, I haven't slept like so well since you told me to not look at the phone. And there's so many health issues as well with the phone, with the blue light, and all this sort of stuff as well that we can get into. But what I was mainly getting at is just changing that simple thing of putting it on silent, leaving it outside the room, whatever it is, and feed yourself something good. So for him, he's got pictures of his kids. I said, look at the pictures of the kids, like reminisce on, family things, and, feed yourself those things. I got him to journal some letters to his kids as well, that, weren't going to be sent, but just to get him to think about all these good things that he's got in his life going for him. And, there was a few other exercises as well, but the night time is so crucial, because whatever we're feeding ourselves for that next 6 to 8 to 9, whatever hours we're sleeping, is just spurring around our subconscious mind, our emotional mind, which dictates how we think, how we feel, how we act, and the results we get all the time. So, if you're finding that you're depressed, if you're finding that you're anxious, if you're finding that, even with things with addiction, then being aware of what you're putting in here, at that time, at going to sleep time, is so crucial. So that's one. Then the second is the morning. The way we wake up, and I'm sure all of us in this group can resonate with this. If you wake up and you just can't be stuffed, like you just, today's going to be shocking. How's the day going to pan out? Probably it's going to be shocking. Like that's what you're attracting into your life. And that RAS, that part of the brain stem that searches out more reasons to make whatever the dominating thoughts are, your reality, and it's going to bring out more and more reasons why your day is going to be shocking. So in the morning, again, we're moving out of a susceptible brain state, which, we're moving from delta, we're moving into theta, then alpha, and alpha's where, we're waking up, we're opening our eyes, we're starting to become more aware of our outside world, less aware of our inside world, and, we're starting to, just wake up. And that state, we're so suggestible because that analytical line is still not fully there. So a lot of us, the first thing we do is look at our phone. Blue light again, and any real light, even sunlight, anything, it hits the pineal gland, and the pineal gland actually changes melatonin into serotonin. And serotonin is, the daytime sort of awake state. It's a stimulus. It's, it keeps us awake and obviously focused on the outer world. Melatonin is, what the pineal gland changes from serotonin to melatonin, and that helps us get more relaxed and, drift off to sleep. So when this is actually happening in the brain, we're still not fully analytical. We're not fully, hooked up to our outer world. But if we start looking at our emails, looking at, Facebook feed or something, a stimulus, then bang, we're going to start, that analytical line is going to just go boom, straight across. And, then we're feeding ourselves, let's say if it's all negative stuff, like, what's happening in the news right now, like that's not something, unless you work in a job that you need to be up, like, right to the spare minute of everything that's happening in the world, then this thing can stay down for an hour or two while you slowly wake up. For me, it's straight away. The first thing my partner and I do is we wake up and we search for things to say thank you for. And usually, just because the location that we live, we look out the window and we say thank you for the location, and we list off a couple of things. And sometimes it's just subvocal, so I'll say it to myself. We always wake up and say thank you out loud, and that's been something that we've implemented, I don't know now, but a number of years. But especially here, we wake up, we look straight out the window, we're right on the water, and we just search for things. What's that actually doing outside of, it sounds cool, but what's that actually doing? It's telling the RAS, that reticular activating system, which is part of the reticular forum, which is part of the brainstem, that this is important to me. Start looking for more reasons to be thankful for things. So I'm starting my day off with the first thing, I open my eyes and I look straight out the window and say thank you. Thank you for the weather. Man, look at the weather. Or look at, or whatever it may be. And we'll start searching for things. And that's a conscious thing. But we're doing it and we're laying in these suggestions to the subconscious, which is the emotional mind, which controls the way I think, feel, act, and the results I get. So that's number one. And then, whether or not you're a meditator, I think everyone should meditate, and especially, in the morning is pretty much, I think, the best time to do it, because in meditation, you want to be going into alpha, you want to be going into theta if you can. Beautiful. Excuse me. So you're making use of this, alpha theta sort of range that you're naturally in anyway when you're waking up. If you can, jump straight into meditation, then beautiful. It's going to be a lot easier. But, meditation, exercise, physical exercise, getting the endorphins running through the body is so good. And whether or not, it doesn't have to be full on at the gym. It could just be getting outside, walking, and whatever you can do physically, but just getting the body moving, not just waking up, putting the kettle on, turning on the news, and then sitting there and watching all the terror and the bad things that are happening while having a stimulant, coffee. Water, definitely, that first thing, because you're dehydrated. You're more dehydrated in the morning than any other time in the day, and that's purely just because we're not drinking while we're sleeping. So, those couple of things, just being aware of that susceptible state, meditation, exercise, what else did I write? Review the day ahead. That's a big thing. So one thing that I get all my clients to do that I'm working with, and especially if they've got me for business related sort of stuff, I say, well, plan your day the night before. List at least 5, so they've got their goal. Obviously, we already have that conversation, what they've hired me for. And we say, okay, to get to that, let's list 5 things. They don't need to be big, just 5 things that you can do tomorrow that if you get 5 of those, if you get all 5 done, even if you just get 2 or 3, whatever it is, but you can get them done, you're moved closer to your goal than you are right now. And they go, oh, okay, beautiful. Well, I've got that, those 6 emails that I've got to send off to blah, blah, and hoo-ha. Then I go, cool, write that down. And we do this at night. Reason why at night is because how many times when you lay down in bed, or you're going to bed, or you clean your teeth ready for bed, or whatever it is, and you go, man, I should have done that today. I'll do it tomorrow. And that never happens. We never really do it. Then we'll get to the following night and it's like, oh man, I didn't do that again. I'll do that tomorrow. And tomorrow never comes. But if we write it down, I'll give you a glimpse at my day, but, and you don't have to write it in as much detail as that, but 5 things that you can go, well, bang, 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 bang. And when you do it, you tick it off. That alone has massive benefits that a lot of people don't actually know, which I'll get into in a second. But at night, so we write those 5 things, 5 goal achieving activities that are going to move us closer to our goal than where we are, today. So then in the morning, we wake up, we do our meditation, our exercise, whatever it is personally for you, whatever order, but definitely adding gratitude. That takes literally 30 seconds and will massively change the next 23 hours, 59 minutes of your day. 100%. That's why it was number 1 on this list, and that's why I talk about it constantly. Gratitude is 100%, I feel, the most important thing that anyone can add into their daily routine, nighttime routine, or whatever. So once you've done all that, then you can review. You sit down. For me, I've done my morning routine. I come into my office and then I go through my day and I go, sweet, all right. And I've lists some which are more important than others, which, sometimes I really don't want to do. But I go, man, I have to do that. Then when we tick it off, actually, and they've done tests on this. So when we tick something off, the average person, and I use that term lightly, but the average person gets a little rush of feels good. Like, oh yeah, that actually feels good. That feeling is a chemical response. And most likely, what they've found through studies is that good feeling, it's usually dopamine. And dopamine is highly, highly addictive. So what are we doing? 1, we're doing it and we're feeling good. So 1, we're ticking off something that needs to be done. So that's a good thing. 2, we're actually physically ticking it off, which leads to a feeling that feels good. So that's a good thing. And 3, most important, is that feeling becomes addictive. So what are we going to want to do? I want to do the next thing. And then we do that. And we tick that off, we get that rush again. So now we've made our 5 goal achieving activities, whether it's 5, 10, 2, whatever it is for you, but I say 5 because it's a good round number. And 5, we're getting that rush, and we're making that literally an addiction. And in the word addiction, the way it truly is, which is something that we want to do, and we can't always break away from, and we feel that we need to do it. So I've made my to-do list literally something that I want to do. I need to do it, and I don't like if someone said no more to-do list, I'd be like, man, I need to write it. I need to write it somewhere, and I'll write it behind their back. Like, that's what addiction, a lot of people, when let's relate it to drinking or drugs or something, what do? Someone takes it away, it's like, man, I need to do it. I'll do it behind their back. I won't tell them about it. It's what, so it's exactly the same with something positive like a to-do list. And we're all addicted to, everything in our life, our phones, our computer, the people we hang around, the TV shows we watch, the gym. We've all got addictions to certain things. It's just if they're good for us, psychologically and physically and emotionally and spiritually, or if they're going to obviously break us down and pull us apart. But that word addiction seems to be a negative word, but 100% it's a good word. Like, you want to be addicted to meditation and your gym and eating healthy and all these things, and gratitude. Like, it's a good thing to be addicted to that. So that's it for this one, which so number 1, gratitude for day 1. Today, morning and nighttime routines and understanding why, and getting something in place. So I'm going to be back doing number 3 in the coming days. So again, there's usually 8 things, and this is just 100% something that I've come up with just after speaking with hundreds of people about these sort of things over a course of 6 or 7 years or so. These 8 things, I feel, will massively impact you spiritually, emotionally, physically, psychologically, and every area of your life, financially, in your relationships, with your kids, with your parents, with your partner, whatever it is. It will help massively, because there's certain things in our life that we need to grow, and gratitude's one, and morning and nighttime routine's another, and I'll get into the third in the coming days. So wishing you guys all an amazing morning or evening, wherever you're tuning in from, and until next time. Crystal, hope you're doing really well as well, and Steve, hope you're doing absolutely unreal. Cheers guys, take care.